to get going tonight. Tonight we have two very special guests that brought to us thankfully by Cassandra, who's longtime partners and friends. We have Kevin and Joanne, who are here to talk about the progress of all of these different community engagement projects that they've worked on. Instrumental in starting the Green Drinks movement here in this entire region, so it brings it all right back to where we are now. And many other different projects that Kevin has worked on with videos. He's going to show us one tonight on his YouTube channel, over 250 as well, to keep it going and connecting people with the natural and cultural resources of the entire Calumet region. So without further ado, Kevin.
Thank you. It's a pleasure for us both to be here tonight, especially with Cassandra, who we've spent some time in the trenches with before. We've been involved environmentally for about 30 years or so in the region, and Joanne was the first chairperson of the Calumet Stewardship Initiative when it began to develop a structure, and I was the secretary, webmaster, and videographer. So we did that for about 5 years, and then the organization moved on, and we moved on to do some other things. So this is a kind of a summary after Cassandra asked us to do something about green drinks and how it came about. We can talk a bit about part of that. Originally in the early days, as you know, it gets difficult to get an idea to start. And the idea of environmentalism took off slowly and for all sorts of different reasons, like we were trying to stop poisoning in the community and, disruption of physical landscape and things like that. And later it became, now let's regrow the community, let's redevelop the community and things of that sort. You'll see that sort of thing in the videos that we've tapped into here from historical events that we've been involved in. What we've covered is in some ways impressive in terms of the amount of information that we gain from it. And what we have here, and in the 240 some videos that we have on YouTube, is a drop in the bucket of what's actually going on in the region. And that's something to hang on to. It's amazing things are happening here. You're part of it. We've been fortunate to be part of it. And this tells a little bit about it. And it started in a lot of daytime operations, which were great for people who were working for organizations that function in the daytime. We've done this one before. And gradually, it needed to be disseminated further. And the Green Drinks process made that possible, to disseminate it further in a different time frame and to involve other people who during the daytime couldn't become involved. So you'll see that sort of evolution here as we show some of the things that led to this process. Kathy, whenever you're ready.
Hello. I've been expecting you. That's right, I've been expecting you. I know you don't believe that, but it's true. You see, this scene has been played before. I've seen it before. You and me, here, meeting each other. You wonder why? I'll tell you. Because I have a time machine. That's right. I have a time machine. And with that time machine, I can travel into the future and see worlds that are quite distant or worlds that may never be. I can go into the past, back to the origins of time, back to our origins. Future or past, my time machine can visit any place or any time. There's a built-in error of about 1%, which doesn't amount to much if we go back 5 or 6 hours in time. A matter of a few seconds only. However, if we travel back several billions of years, as we may do from time to time, it can amount to many millions of years error. But still, in the vast track of time, that's not much. I want to take a trip today on the time machine, and I'd like you to come along with me. I think it'll be of interest to you. We're going to try to learn something about mankind, about his origins, especially the origin of man's social being, why it is that he functions in groups more than he functions as an isolate. So why don't you come with me now and we'll take a look at the past with my time machine. Welcome to the time machine. This is the control console. As you can see, there are an awful lot of switches here, and we wouldn't want any of them set off by accident. This is the magic window through which you'll be able to see everything that happens as we travel through time. I'll activate it in a moment. There are a number of things you need to be aware of as we travel through time. First of all, the machine requires a great deal of energy to travel back through the vast distances of time and space. It'll take a moment or two to set the machine up, so bear with me while we get started. Initiated by Chicago Department of Environment in 2001, the Calumet Stewardship Initiative exists to better coordinate the educational and stewardship programs offered by all providers, including Illinois Department of Natural Resources, Chicago Park District, Cook County Forest Preserve District, and others.
It's probably about as close to a pre-settlement condition.
We're back to the starting point of our trip. Well, almost. It's about 30 minutes later. Have a good day, and come back soon to my time machine.
What's going on in the region? You're doing it. You're involved in it. An awful lot of it happens in the daytime, and that's important work. It's critical work to the survival of the region, a lot of the daytime work. But what you do in the evening with green drinks and things like that, and spreading the word is terribly important too. Getting the word out there, as we saw a little bit. Somewhere along the way we lost a hard drive, and some of the videos that we had for those green events, unfortunately, were reduced to a few surviving photographs. And I wish we'd been able to show more of the video, because their content was interesting as well. We showed what we could. So communicate as much as you can. Video record as much as you can. Get photos as much as you can. Tell your story wherever you can. It's important to get it out there. You know that, especially if you're looking for funding, you're looking for community support, it's important to have your story out there. Facebook is good, but it scrolls and it rolls and it's gone. Get yourself a website that is permanent. You can document and it's there, and I can come back next week and find the same stuff. It's easier to do that. That's important as well. And besides that, we put things on YouTube, and Cassandra, I know you now have stuff up on YouTube too, and that's good. So use all these resources to get the word out, tell your story to folks. It's terribly important. That's our story for tonight. If you have questions, we'd be happy to try to give them. Other than that, thank you. This was fun. It was fun putting that together. I'm glad we had a chance to do that.
You know, I wanted to ask you something, which is one of the things we wanted to do with the video that we've all kind of gotten together with, Mario and Lakeshore, and that was for CSI. How actually did CSI begin?
It started in around 2000, 2001. We formed a Calumet initiative, it was to begin with. And by the time they drafted us as the first volunteers to put the, to organize it, in 2007 it was renamed the Calumet Stewardship Initiative to give a better definition of what that Calumet initiative was. But it had been developing over a number of years. There were a bunch of organizations that existed in it, and we made the mistake, I think, in 2007 of trying to formalize it, and we got very legalistic and asked them to all the old members, which were many organizations in the region, both sides of the state line, to re-up and to fill out a document that, all of a sudden we were getting into legalistic forms and stuff like that, and a lot of them just thought, we haven't got time for that. So thanks, when we started initially, we dropped to about, I don't know, somewhere around 18 members, organizations, and then thanks to Joanne's amazing work, we were able to move it up to in the 40s before we relinquished the reins of the thing, of different organizations. And things were, for us, they were exciting. I think from Cassandra's experience, it was exciting too. And the more resources you have, of course, the more you can do, and the more you can share and build together and reinforce each other. So the idea was a dream. People thought we have to start doing something with the environment. And there was a long document that came out of the city of Chicago, for one thing, at that time. There were some things going on over here as well that were saying, we've got to do something. We really are faced with the fact that, first of all, we've got this brownfield universe around us. And number one, it's ugly. Number two, it ain't healthy. And it could be. It was originally a beautiful natural space that industry over 150 years turned into something else that was important at the time. But the basis was still there if we were able to find ways to take the poison out and rebuild it. And so that's how that began. And then it became more structured and formalized in 2007 when we first took the reins of it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, because we came in 2008, and I've often wondered, and that's what we were trying to formulate with what we had, this video that we were going to give a history of how CSI started, and then how other entities came in, environmental entities, and then how organizations like ours began to be a part of it, and then came back here to Indiana and started spreading the word, and getting together with Kathy and Rachel and various other people, and how became
Field Museum was involved in the early days of
that.
And Laurel came in later, but she was also early enough on that. There are we have access and links to some of the documents, but they're also on the web, some of them. So the history document, so if you and Mario need that, I think you can track it. If not, ask us. We can link you to it.
He said he's gonna get
Yeah. Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you.
River and wanted a better life and to be able to use the river instead of having it be a fearful thing that they had to stay away from.
And you succeeded. And you succeeded.
Well, I think that the community organizations played a big role in the multi-million-dollar cleanups that have occurred with U.S. Steel and the Great Lakes Legacy Act and the Great Lakes Initiative that are cleaning up the river in Hammond and Chicago right now. So, right, communities play a giant role. It's really important for people to get involved and make a difference.
Yes, let me ask you, what do you, well, maybe I shouldn't say your opinion, but why is it that it seems that our community seems to be so far behind with the environmental, the whole environmental concept? I mean, we're getting there, but we seem to be behind a lot of people,
Well, I think people have, I think when a community has economic, really needs jobs and people are concerned about their daily lives and how they're going to feed their families and garbage in the streets and bad air and things like that, those things are, like, people are maybe more concerned about things that they see directly that affect them. And so there have been various moves to improve the health of the community. I mean, people are probably more concerned about health in many ways than they did than the river. People who live near the river were very concerned about it, and those were the main actors and activists in the river work. But people in Geary, in a lot of time, have been concerned about air. There have been various initiatives to address that. But I can't, it's hard for me to know as well why, some of the organizations that were originally very active here didn't maintain and keep going and grow into other organizations. I mean, Save the Dunes has been here a long time, but there were other organizations that were active in the city that had members. And maybe part of the problem was that, except for maybe the Grand Isle Task Force, most of the organizations were actually located kind of somewhere else. Like they were either in Indianapolis, like the Citizens Action Coalition, or what's the big one that's still in Indianapolis now? I mean, Citizens Action Coalition, Hoosier Environmental Council.
yeah.
Lake Michigan Federation was big. They actually played a role in starting the Grand Isle Task Force. Union organization played a big role, and now unions are fighting for their life. So some of the things that they used to do in the community, they're more focused on just union membership and maintaining the situation, their role in the industrial world. So it's hard to say. I don't have a good answer for that myself.
Yeah, because we've been wondering how to get City Hall more involved, because for the longest of time when we first really got involved with Kim, it was in 2008 also. But the thing I didn't understand is, like this Lakeshore Dunes and the Paul Lake Douglas Center, for tourism, you would think that would be a tourist delight, that it sits right there. It's got all this space and all this recreational, places that people can do. And I was always surprised that City Hall didn't do more, to kind of build up and use that as a way to draw people into Geary. I could never understand why that was.
Well, they're doing that now.
Yeah,
that's
I know
way
they're trying
bigger now, and there's a lot of money that's coming to Geary from the federal government to do green infrastructure and sustainable community type projects. So that's made a difference. But really, I think the administrations have always been primarily concerned with crime, picking up the garbage, because that's what people care about on their street, keeping the litter out, and trying to provide jobs for people. And that's sort of been their main emphasis. And you might say, well, tourism will create jobs, but they were really looking for that 9-to-5 type factory work that was always played such a big role here. But now they're beginning to recognize that you have to go to a different place. You know, you have to find a different way to support what goes on here, and the natural community becomes part of what will draw people here. A good environment, you know, recreation, green space, walking trails, opportunities to enjoy the lake and have access to it. That's going to be part of what will help build the community, I think. But beyond that, you know, really, you can talk to people and people are concerned, but why they don't join organizations or spend their time, I think it's just a matter of survival in many ways. I don't know. Anybody else from Gary here that has an answer to that?
And you're here because?
My name is Yolanda Crocker, and I represent Outdoor Macro, which is an organization that our mission is to reconnect people, primarily African American people, with natural spaces, usually in recreational settings. This is our first. We're new. The organization is new to the area. They've been in Chicago for the past 3 years, but I'm the leader spearheading this the movement in this area. Like, for example, May 27th, 23rd, the last Saturday of the month, we'll be out helping at the stewardship effort in Miller Woods, followed by a hike on the same trail. So just getting people, you know, to take ownership, you know, of the area and take advantage of all the wonderful opportunities there are to recreate and otherwise in nature. So,
yeah. It's good. So your little one will be...
She's one of them. Yeah. And the events are
the
open
family.
to the family, so really family friendly.
Yeah,
So now, where did you say you guys were located?
Our founder is out of Southern California. Yeah, we have chapters all over the country. So, yeah.
It's good connections.
What's the name of it again?
OutdoorAfro.com.
Oh, Outdoor Afro.
Great. There's somebody back there.
Trying to stay. Well, I saw that it was talk about the County Human Stewardship Initiative, which is I just did the workshop the last time around at the couple different areas, so I just came to see if there was anything extra that I didn't get through that. And I volunteer for quite a few different organizations. Try and make my rounds through the green drinks. I got this one, got the Valpo, now I got to check out Michigan City.
It's good. Thank you. How about over here?
Hi, my name's Jessie. I'm the community builder for Miller.
Aha.
And so I'm actually doing all the data on what people think would help revitalize the area, and ecotourism is one of the big things if it's done properly and not going to actually destroy what we have. Because Miller's kind of known as the hidden gem of the Lake Michigan area. It's the most welcoming community. A lot of places don't have beach parking, but then again, a lot of people don't know about like the Douglas Center. So, and it's a pretty nice facility. So we're trying to figure out how to get that connected. And they have a ton of programming, but a lot of people I've asked about that have kids that are, you know, child age or school age, they don't know about it. So, and like the Douglas Center doesn't have a bus stop.
Oh.
And the beach doesn't have a bus stop. So these are things we might need to start getting in the works if we want our stuff to actually be utilized. And Market Park looks amazing now, but if they don't have a bus stop there, it's kind of not sending a great message to people who don't have cars.
Oh.
You know, and whether that's by choice or whether you can't afford a vehicle. You know, there's many reasons why people don't have cars. Things like that, trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I'm Mandy. I'm Jesse's sister.
Hi.
What's your background? My roommate.
I'm a roommate.
And we're from here.
We're from here, yeah.
Grew up on Oak.
I'm a school teacher, and this is my first year teaching, and I worked for about 10 years teaching outdoor ed all over the world. And so I'm a teacher primarily, but I want to start as an outdoor education program within the school systems here of Gary. And currently I work in EC, but I want to do it through Gary. And locally,
really. So I got a green heart. And if you guys are interested in seeing Miller revitalize and want to contribute to the interview process, please come and see me because your opinion matters. You'll go into our data. What we're doing is Miller got chosen for one of the legacy grants. Miller and North Gilbert did. And so the data I'm synthesizing will decide what actions have happened within the community. They're doing a collective impact study, so the community chooses what's happening and that therefore hopefully be more invested in what's happening. That's the goal. That's why I'm doing data while I'm listening to all of you.
Well, so you're all going to work together. I mean, this is fantastic. Look at all the resources you have here.
One thing I wanted to share with the group is something that we've started recently, over the last couple of months, is a new website called spotlightingsoutheastchicago.com. And on that site, we're trying to link to every other site in the region that is doing anything in terms of the environment or arts or community development, those kinds of things. And so if you get a chance, take a look at it. If you have things to add, we hope to get some charts of events announcements, posters from Cassandra like this one, so that we can post your events and things like that as well, if we can get that up there. So we're trying to make it a kind of a one-stop shop for the region where people can come and find out what's going on any place and link to it as well. So if we can do that, if you want to connect to it, let us, just contact us and we can do it.
Work as well. So please join us next month, June 2nd, to hear from Chris Krause. Thanks so much.